All my friends like board games, but they're slow. Waiting for them, asking them to go. They won't make any sudden moves. I'm winning, but still feels like abuse. Welcome to the room of people who have rooms of people that gave up one day, just walked away. Just because we check the time at the door doesn't mean their speed will change, to our dismay. You're waiting on the Eurogamer sitting next to you. You're waiting on the AP sitting next to you. You'll think how to get here sitting next to you. But after all is said, my name is Alex Radcliffe, and that has been something else, if nothing else. So, once again, Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo, and this is our weekly singing session or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but that being said, let's go into this. So, to begin with, Massive Darkness. Massive Darkness Hellscape is one that the campaign's over by now. The only reason it's here is because a few people did ask, what did I do? What pledge level did I end up going with? And I ended up going with that the 340 bling all in. I know enough about the extras that I want that bling on the board, but either that or the gameplay all in are both great options for you. Really, a lot of stuff is a great option, and again, I'll reiterate what I've said multiple times now. If you're on the fence, if that FOMO is killing you, that base pledge has a ton of content. It is a game worth backing if you are interested. That $99 plus shipping will get you a lot. It will get you pretty far. From there, we're going to go into Arkwright the card game. Arkwright the card game is one that I have successfully managed to miss in the last two roundups. I don't usually wait till the end, although sometimes it happens, especially if I'm missing something. Arkwright the card game is really an easy one. This is a card game version of Arkwright the board game, which is a great game. It's on Board Game Geek, has a great rating, well liked, well loved. But this one's really a pretty easy one just because there's no real exclusives going on here. What they have is a $29 base pledge with a $34 MSRP, which means the shipping is going to take out any savings whatsoever. From what I can see, there is no real reason to back this from a financial stance. If you want to support the creator, if you want to get the game earlier, by all means back it. The good news is you're not going to be out a lot of money, but a $34 MSRP means it'll be available on an online store for less than $29 with free shipping if you're going for a larger order. So I see no real reason from a financial stance to back this now. That being said, the nice thing about the smaller games is that if you are on the fence, it's not as much money to take that plunge. It's not as much of a loss. Sure, you'll lose $5, $6, $8 compared to what you can do later, but hey, you have to decide for yourself if that's worth it to you. Next up from there, we have Button Shy Game Haul Bag. Button Shy is a company that I have been, not shy about the fact that I love Circle the Wagons, I love Sprawlopolis. Those are the only two I've actually tried. I have Tussie Mussy coming eventually. We'll see what happens there. But they have a lot of games. Some of them are well-liked, well-acclaimed or whatnot. Others less so. This is a combination of both their newest game, Inspector, as well as the Button Shy Game Haul Bag. Speaking for myself, I don't really know if I want the haul bag. The whole point of the Button Shy games is their travel accessibility. Once you're packing into a bag, it removes that a little bit, but that being said, maybe people want it. It definitely looks nice. I mean, I don't know. I think I would have preferred like a shelf storage thing instead of a travel thing, but to each their own. As far as the bag, when it comes to accessories, I don't really comment on resale value because it's not the market I'm in. I don't know the resale value of anything to do with accessories, tables, bags, and there's a lot of that in this particular roundup today. In terms of the game itself, it's going to be $10 plus $3 shipping, so $3 shipping to the US, not a bad game, and then there's options to get their other games. Their resale value on the games is, honestly, it depends on the game you're getting. If for Inspector, I would say the problem is with too many of their games have fallen into this kind of liked but not loved zone, which means they don't bring a ton of value, but they're also kind of hard to hunt down. So if you're interested, it's just worth backing them directly. You're not saving that much, you're not losing that much. Yes, you probably are losing. It's not a great buy, all things considered, but the amount of people who have most of their games, except for Sprawlopolis, Tussie Mussy, and Circle the Wagons, most of their games are less popular and therefore less available, less easy to get your hands on. If you want them, it's worth paying that extra $2 or $3 per game just to get it yourself, and of course you're supporting the company as well, which I know I don't focus on it, but I am a fan of supporting the company. It's just not the value proposition of what I do here. From there we have Dungeons and Lasers 2nd Edition, which is the first of, I guess technically the second if you include the bag. It's the second of multiple things in this video where I am not going to talk about resale value because I don't know the market. What I do know is if you're someone who wants this stuff, it seems like a great price for yourself. I don't know about resale value. What are you getting here for $99? So we have this whole dungeon, build your own dungeon. Obviously this is painted, it comes unpainted, so factor that into your decision making. In terms of what you get, well, I'm going to scroll down a bit just to go straight to it. There are all these core sets, and then there's rooms. So we have like a fantasy core set, which comes with a whole bunch of stuff here, and then we have a sci-fi core set which comes with a bunch of stuff over here. Additionally, on top of that, there are all these optional rooms you can get as well. Now, the reason I'm focusing on these different rooms and core sets is because the main pledge you want to focus on, I mean, you can go up as well, but the main pledge I want to focus on is that $99 core pledge where you get a dragon of your choice, which we haven't even gotten to yet. You get one core set of your choice, or 2 rooms, a core set or 2 rooms, and then 3 more rooms. So it's either 5 rooms or a core set and 3 rooms, plus these stretch goals, plus a dragon, and then you could add additional monies for all these other things. The Dragon of Schmarganog, I mean, that sounds like bless you, but okay. We have $89 for the Dragon Pledge upgrade, bunch of options you have. In terms of those dragons, again, more rooms, more rooms. There's just different designs on the actual components itself and the walls, different things to each their own. For myself, this is not my thing at all. The worst part about a board game to me is the setup, so I'm not interested in things that add more setup, but I think this is really more targeted at a D&D demographic to begin with, at that kind of demographic, not so much for, you know, a Zombicide player who's looking for a more fleshed out experience. Whole different ballpark. In terms of the dragons, we have all these dragons here. They do require assembly. They come unpainted and unassembled. Unpainted is pretty standard, and unassembled is, well, it depends on the company. I hate unassembled. I like everything to be pre-done for me as much as possible, but that being said, if you're assembling a whole bunch of walls here, you're probably not the person who's scared off by a little bit of assembly to begin with. Bunch of options here, a bunch of cool different looking dragons. I think they all are pretty cool. I love, like, yeah, I mean, I think they're interesting. You can go all the way up to a $449 all in for a whole bunch of stuff. There's just a ton of options here. Great accessories, seems to be a good price. Again, disclaimer, I don't know the market as well. For all I know, this is like the worst price ever, but it seems to be a good price from all things considered. From there, we have Endangered, Orphans, House of Rath. Now, there's one of these every week, it seems, but basically there's one of these Kickstarters every week, which wasn't on my radar, and then goes on my radar because of these videos that I do. In other words, sometimes campaigns like Massive Darkness I'm aware of. I know about it regardless of the fact that I have a YouTube channel that talks about Kickstarter. Others would have passed me by completely, and my wallet would have been safer, so you are all to blame for this. We've had Petrichor, we've had Endangered, and now we have Endangered again, House of Rath. Now, the gameplay in this looks pretty interesting. Now, it looks very similar to the Mr. Jack series, or more specifically, my personal favorite is Le Fantôme de Opera, which I love. It's on the shelf a little far away, but Le Fantôme de Opera is a 2-player game that I absolutely love. This seems to replicate that in a 2 or more player game, 2 to 6 players, 30 to 50 minutes, lots of navigation and manipulation of trying to protect your own secret private goals, but doing just enough protection and fidgeting and moving things around that you can try to disguise but also protect your goals. The gameplay looks interesting, the art style, everything's pulling me in about the game, and for $30 for what you're getting seems like a pretty good deal, plus $10 to $15 shipping for US, more if you are doing international. There are additional optional buys. There's books, there's puzzles, there's some other stuff. There's also a occultist expansion for $15. That's definitely exclusive. In terms of the stretch goals have already unlocked a bunch of stuff, including wooden tiles. A lot of these tokens over here are now wooden. These room tiles are wooden. The lock tiles are still cardboard. The campaign still has time to go. Still more stuff being unlocked. Overall, it looks pretty good. I would have liked to see these as minis, I think. I mean, there is an aspect of flipping them, but I think it could have functionally worked as minis. I don't know enough about the game. I could be wrong here. That being said, all in all, it's like the problem is one of those weird things where you can get on the used game market or whatever, you can get a copy of Le Fantôme de Opera for like $20. But if you want to get this, it'll cost you $40, and Le Fantôme de Opera is already a proven game that I absolutely love. It's my personal favorite from the Mr. Jack series. That being said, I mean, this company does a good job. They overall, this is what's it called? This is Certifiable Studios. They've done Who Goes There. They've done some other stuff that I am blanking on. They have another campaign that I know they did. What is it over here? They have another campaign which is not loading. I know they did Who Goes There. Where are they? Okay, here we go. They did D6 Dungeons. I remember that. They did D6 and then both Who Goes There. So overall, a great company. Very interesting stuff. I love how they're engaging with their audience, and that means mostly they're insulting their audience for, engaging with a board game that's about eating orphans. So the whole thing is very funny, very amusing. I am intrigued. honestly, I'm just going to go watch Quackalope's video after this campaign, because I started it. Quackalope had a gameplay video of playing the game over here that I did start like 2 weeks ago and then never really finished, but now that I'm intrigued and pulled in, I'm going to be watching it a whole lot more because I am interested, hoping to not back it. We will see. In terms of next up, we have the Megan board game table. This is another one that is another non-board game, and we have like 2 or 3 more, so plenty of time here. This one's at $191,000 so far, 273 backers, 9 days to go. It's another board game table. This one, honestly, this is more akin to my personal game table in terms of the way these leaves are on top of the table. That's more similar to the Uniquely Geek table that I have. They seem to be offering at a pretty decent price for $1,100. You know, I don't know if shipping was included. Shipping charge is not included. And then they have another option for the gaming and dining table for $1,400. I did not overly go into this campaign page. I just went through the tables last week for Wormwood. I did not go through the Geek and Sons table extensively because, yeah, I mean, it's a smaller thing, but I did feel I wanted to at least bring it to the table. Well, bring it to the table. I wanted to at least bring it to the table given the fact that I did cover Wormwood last week. It looks pretty premium, looks pretty nice, kind of a middle ground between like a premium higher level Wormwood versus the current mass-produced Wormwood that they currently have in the Kickstarter. So middle ground, look into it. It might be a good gaming table for you. Next up from there, we have Token Sesame. Token Sesame, yet another non-board game. We do have more board games coming. In fact, we also have a full upgrade on Northgard coming, so let's wait for that. But in terms of the Token Sesame, we have this is a token holder. Now, the good news offhand, it has art by Maiko, and along with Come On, I have a shameless love for anything Maiko draws. Any game he's involved with. I don't actually keep them all, but I do get them all, and there's a new game announced, Imperium or something like that, I don't know. Anything Maiko draws, I am interested in, and Token Sesame, they do have some different art options, including Everdell and including Maiko. I'm sure about the Maiko, less sure about the Everdell. But what is this basically? It's a token holder. It's a token holder for your game table. Honestly, it looks really well done for being a token holder. It comes with a variety of configurations, a variety of options. You can have it elevated, you can have it, on the table itself, you can have a 3-tiered stand, like you can see over here, a bunch of options in the way the configurations work. For what it's doing, it does seem to be doing a great job. I'm not commenting on resale value, just commenting in general on the Kickstarter. That's $69 plus shipping is going to get you that token holder. So the question you have to ask yourself is there an actual problem that's being solved here for you, or do you not need this? Do you need this? Do you not? I don't know. For me, I am interested. I am pulled in. I want it, but I also realize that it's not actually solving a problem for me. These, they have these nice little gifs somewhere over here of, here are the problems we're solving, and I'm like, well, that's great, but I don't have those problems. Stubborn tokens, very valid, but play on a neoprene surface if you have one, and that problem is solved. For me, I play on my game table with a neoprene surface. I don't have stubborn tokens. Messy piles, we just don't have them. Now, it's not to say you shouldn't get them. By all means, sometimes you don't know you have a problem until someone tells you about it and then you realize. So if any of these things are resonating with you, then by all means, look into getting a token holder. For me, they just aren't, and I think that the ease and simplicity of pulling tokens from this central hub that you'll easily pass around, I think it's a little oversold by the nature of being a product. Don't get me wrong, I think this might be a great fit for some people. I would just ask yourself 2 questions, which is 1, is there a problem here that's being solved? And 2, do you think the problem is going to be solved as easily and as smoothly as they are pitching? Just not statistically, it is likely that it will not be as simple. That being said, there's probably a good middle ground where this is a good fit for your collection, for your group, for your game table, for your whatever. Next up, again, I'm telling you, there are board games coming, really. Board games are genuinely coming. Playmats and bags for board games by board game tables. So just in the theme of it's the Tista season, we have lots of extras, accessories, who knows what. I personally have this gaming table, but I have this gaming backpack bag over here. I really like it. I think it's a good bag. It's a good medium range between not being a cheap, easy to get bag, whatever, versus not being super over the top expensive. It does the job. It does the job well, and it successfully has held my kid on my backpack, so it definitely does hold weight. There's a picture on my Instagram somewhere of me with my kid in my backpack, his hand sticking out, whatever. Anyways, overall, I like the backpack. I'm just commenting. It's like, it's $49, I believe. They have different options. They have cheaper options as well. They have a $29 standard bag and a $46 more premium bag plus shipping. Factor that in. So overall, I like it. You want to get it? Completely up to you. Are you in the market for a board game backpack? Again, completely up to you. Are you even having a game group anymore? Well, completely up to you and your game group. I don't know. For me, I don't use it all the time. It's kind of in my back room, whatever, but I do pull it out when I'm carrying a bunch of games to game night occasionally, or traveling with games. It's usually my default go-to backpack. Just thought worth mentioning. It's held up for, a year plus, probably 2 years by now. I don't know exactly. Anyways, next up we have Biblios. Biblios, Q and P, and Quill and Parchment. Biblios, Quill, and Parchment, plus Dr. Finn's 2021 games. So, basically, Steve Finn, is grouping all these games together into one Kickstarter. And this is simultaneously good and bad news in terms of not in the grouping, but in terms of the value proposition. Bunch of new games, a version of Biblios, plus a few other games. Because of how many there are here, I'm not going to cover them overly in detail. There are a lot of videos and reviews. You can look into them. I believe Mining Colony and Biblios are the most heavily marketed in terms of the reviews and content out there for you to look into, but you can find stuff on the other two as well. Overall, it's basically, it's $23 for one, plus shipping, $44 for two, plus shipping, $62 or $75 plus shipping to get them all. Will they be cheaper later in retail? Yes, they will. Generally, his games are. That being said, with two important caveats. One is the usual, support the publisher or whatnot, and the difference per game is really not that extreme. If you're buying one game, the difference will be more noticeable because the shipping per game will be more noticeable. But the more you buy, the closer that actual gap is. And two, and more importantly, he does have extras, not exclusives. They will be available later, but there are two things going on in terms of the extras he's providing. The first is an idea I love. In fact, I'll come back to this in a second, but let's cover the first, I guess. The first is each one has promo packs. Now, these are promo packs where they're available not optional. There are additional things to the game that will not be exclusive. They'll be available later, but if you want to guarantee it now, now's your opportunity. So if you care about those extra promo packs, and he very heavily sold on the fact that the game is complete as is. If you get this at retail later, you're getting a complete game. If you get this and never touch the promo packs, you're getting a complete game. Which brings us to our second thing, which is to double down on that aspect. He said, for our stretch goals, we're going to include a little figure for each of these games. What are the rules? We'll make them up. Which is, I really like that idea because it really sells the point home that this is a complete game, to the point that the extra gameplay content we have will kind of just make up together along the way. There's a geek list or whatever it is, like a thread, a geek list or something. Yeah, click on the image below to go to the discussion thread for the variant. So there's a discussion thread where he's literally making up the rules for these pieces after the fact, which is great because it really sells home the idea that it's a complete game while also giving you additional content that may or may not be as playtested as you want. Then again, stretch goal content generally is playtested less, sadly. So overall, for this whole Dr. Finn's group, it's a decent price. It's going to be cheaper later, not by huge amounts, especially divided per game, and you will get extras, both promo packs as well as made-up rules that are being made up as we speak. Next up from there, we have Long Live the King. Long Live the King is one of two games, I think. I guess, well, three more. But anyways, Long Live the King is a game that I've actually played on Tabletop Simulator. I'm going to hedge my review very strongly. My review is going to be very simple. It's going to be, this is a cross between Coup and Resistance. I think they said a cross between Secret Hitler and Coup. Same idea, but it has those elements. It has a very Coup element to the actions you're taking, but more of a hidden role aspect in Secret Hitler, Resistance, or whatnot. Overall, I liked the game. I can't heavily comment how much, because my biggest complaints were regarding the downtime or the amount of time the game played in, and that was on Tabletop Simulator, which is the worst possible experience for a card game and a social deduction game. So even with a very negative set of experiences or situations around how I experienced the game, overall I enjoyed it. Do I think it's the most amazing thing ever? No, but I didn't play it in person. I don't know. Do I think it's a solid foundation? Yes, it's a solid foundation of a game. It's currently they're at $4,000 out of the $500 stretch goal, which is great considering the product being sold. First project, overall doing a good job. The game is available for $25 plus shipping, or $45 to get 2 copies. Will it hold its value? Unlikely, but it's just too much for a card game considering the market it's up against. It's up against Resistance, not so much Secret Hitler, but I guess Secret Hitler as well, Coup, so it's a little priced heavier compared to those, but it does seem to be, overall they seem to have a lot of people that like it, and like I said, even in a less ideal situation, I definitely enjoyed it with multiple plays. I played it twice, and the second play was already better than the first, by the way, so I think a third play would have been even better, although I really would have liked to play it in person as opposed to over Tabletop Simulator. So again, Long Live the King, give it a look. If you like Coup, if you like Resistance, this might be something that's up your alley. Again, the value aspect, probably not worth it from that stance, but if it's something you're interested in, it's not going to be that easy to get it later either. Next up, we have Deck of Wonders, another one that I have had the privilege of playing. This one I actually played it in person. It's a solo legacy card game, so it's being sold kind of if you like Hearthstone, if you like solo games, if you like whatever. This is being sold as in that vein, in that genre of that kind of style. It's got a legacy solo aspect to the game that looks interesting. Now, I played it in an early prototype form. I will say, same idea. I'm kind of hedging my thing same way, which is I enjoyed it. I thought it had a lot of potential, a lot of promise, and that was playing with no art and in an early prototype. I have no idea what has changed since then. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it and would recommend giving it a shot. If you like solo games, if you like Hearthstone, if you like that style, it has a very puzzly feel to the way you have to lay out your cards and then play the game. It didn't knock my socks off, but again, early prototype phase. In terms of the cost and what you're getting, sadly that's where it's a little harder. $35 for a full physical version of the game for what you're getting, plus shipping of course, for what you're getting compared to what you'll be able to sell it for on the secondary market versus what other games you're getting. It's not really a great back from that sense, but again, this is typical, by the way. First-time creator, my content in general is not as friendly to first-time creators or smaller creators, just by the very nature of what they're trying to do versus what I'm trying to focus on. What I will say is if you're trying to get your hands on a copy, there's 770 backers. This might be your best opportunity to get your hands on a copy. Will you be able to sell it for what you paid for after the fact? I think it's skeptical, but if it's really ravely reviewed, it's possible. This gets rave reviews, I know he has more content planned, he has more content lined up for if it continues to do well, and honestly the fact that it's funded for a first time creator with something a little bit innovative, a little different, is already a good thing. So good for him, super happy for him, excited to see how it actually continues and plays out. I'm excited to see what kind of more content he can bring to the table. I'm definitely interested in giving this one a shot when it's on the market or whatnot. Next up, this is not really an update. Galaxy Hunters, I'm specifically holding off on Galaxy Hunters for right now because I have very mixed thoughts on it, and those thoughts really do come down to kind of what they unlock or what they continue to unlock. It looks like a game, I'll start off by saying I am interested in the game, I am intrigued, looks like a game that I would enjoy. Worker placement, I know it looks like a mini, not really a mini, it's more of a worker placement game. It's one that I am interested in, but I want to wait and see how the unlocks develop, what they're adding, what's going to be in the game, because that will really more affect my, I guess, opinion on it. So I'm going to hold off for right now. I will say there is a giveaway, and this is something new, by the way. I've never actually really done this on the channel. I want to know what your opinion is. This is not my giveaway, not in the slightest. This is a giveaway from the board game group that I just figured I'd share. So do you guys want to see when there's a giveaway? If I know about a giveaway, do you want to see do you want me to share it? Do you want to see a link? Let me know. I'm curious what your opinion is. I'm not interested in spamming you in the slightest. I'm not interested in sharing giveaways if you're sick and tired of them. But at the same time, if it's value added, if you enjoy it, if you think you'd benefit from it, then I'm happy to do so. So basically, I want your opinion. This one's on me. This one's my decision. I'm sharing the Galaxy Hunters giveaway. There'll be a link down below, so if you want to enter for that. But I am interested in your opinion of, is that something you'd want to see? No matter what, by the way, because I have a very strong aversion to spamming things, even if I do them, you can expect to see at most one per roundup video. I'd be doing them very minimally, if at all. And again, to be clear, I was not sponsored to do that. I wasn't. I mean, I know the guy who runs the giveaway, but I was not sponsored. I'm not paid. There's nothing else happening there in terms of that giveaway. Right now I'm sharing it, but I'm interested in whether you would find value in that, or whether it's, just annoying and don't bother. Let me know in the comments down below, because that will genuinely 100% affect my decision as to when I do it, if I do it, how often I do it, all that kind of stuff. And again, when I say how often, limit to once per video max. It's not going to, no matter what, I'm just not interested in getting involved in a spammy situation. Which brings us finally to Northgard. Northgard, okay, we are 23 minutes in. We are at like 14 different non-board game things. We're at one song and one giveaway, whole bunch of things going on in this video. And now we are up to Northgard Uncharted Land. So why am I covering this? Well, first of all, I've gotten like a million requests from people, are you doing an update video on Northgard? And so the answer now is, I guess, sort of. I didn't want to do a full upgrade. I've already done a full review, and I've already done a should you back it on it. So this is going to be the update for Northgard in case you wanted it. Timestamps will have been down below in case you came here just for this section. Hi, nice to see you. Maybe you missed all the rest. I don't know. In any case, Northgard Uncharted Lands. So, I'm covering this from two stances. One is because of just how much has been added to the campaign. My biggest concern from my initial should you back it was, looks like a great game, looks well done, looks overall great, but also seems pretty expensive relative to your other options, relative to buying Blood Rage Plus expansion, relative to buying Innis, relative to buying any other game in this genre. Buy Small World and 15 expansions or whatever it is, and it'll be the same price. My biggest issue was the price. So, what else do you get right now? So the answer is a lot. In fact, I thought I had the stretch goals all lined up, but it looks like I think they just put them all up here. Basically, let me see if I can scroll down to the main stretch goals. They have added a lot to the campaign. I'm just going to scroll through this pretty quickly. We have funded, yay, cards, wooden tokens, was it wooden tokens, cards, the expansion with the creatures, and they removed those standees from the image because they're coming with creatures and whatnot. We have, development cards, some miniatures for that expansion, for the creatures expansion, more cards, more miniatures, cards, dice, bigger dice, Valkyrie miniatures, brown beer, the selective varnish on player and clan boards, and the collector only. And that's worth noting, some of these extras are collector only, so factor that into your pledge options. We have the Kaija miniature, 5 collector bases, collector only. The Boar clan, they added a new clan over here. We have more development cards, more creatures, more color. We have colored tuck boxes, wooden fame tokens, 3 development cards, another clan. So they added 2 new clans so far. And each clan, by the way, comes with its own chieftain, own unique abilities. I think the sculpts were not unique. I can't remember if the sculpts were unique or not, but the miniature sculpt, the chieftain sculpts were for sure unique. Wooden resource tokens, special tiles, new creatures, special tiles, lots of stuff being added here. New creature, unique special tile. I'm waiting for the good stuff. And then finally, the custom insert plus removable trays for collectors only. So they're adding a custom insert. I can't speak for the quality, but if it's halfway decent, that's usually a great upgrade. If it does a halfway decent job at what it's trying to do, that's a great value added upgrade. And then the Wyvern, which is this bigger miniature that we don't see right now, but looks pretty cool. And that's it. They are tapped out after that. They put out a post, an update, saying they thought about adding more, but they already have a lot to playtest, which is why they decided, you know what? This is it. It is where it is. We're done. We added everything we potentially planned on and saw, and we will now focus on playtesting. Which brings me to point 2, playtesting. So, I put out a review, as you already know, and in that review I covered some of the things that I didn't like as much about the game. My review was pretty medium, meaning I think it's a great game with a great core focus on the game. At the same time, for very specific reasons, it was a game that I didn't feel the need to own myself, because I felt that the elements I was most looking forward to, such as deck building or whatnot, were games that I thought other games did it better. So I do think it's a solid game. I think if you played it, you'll enjoy it. I know it's available on Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia. It's available on Tabletopia, and a lot of people have enjoyed it. So this is not like I am one privileged person to have played it. A lot of people have played it, given their opinions, and do like it. So as always, that's why I try to be very balanced in my reviews, pros and cons, because I've gotten rid of a lot of games that are well rated, well liked, and this is one that I enjoyed. I just felt some aspects other games did better. That being said, I am interested in some of the changes they are talking about. Now, I'm not going to talk about all of them. I have been communicating with they've already touched upon some of them themselves publicly, but I've also communicated with the designer directly in terms of just checking what they're adding, because I knew I was doing this update. And there are a bunch of things they're doing. I'm going to touch upon some aspects. I'm not going to overly go into it, because everything is subject to playtesting. There are no guarantees. But one of my big critiques was in terms of the deck building, how I felt it was a little bit more like the game played you, and you didn't really deck build your deck as much. And that they're looking to a bunch of options to potentially add to that. They've talked about this publicly. There's no guarantees, whether it's adding more development cards that you can do, whether it's adding actions where you can spend lore to get those development cards, whether it's adding fame points to the cards to balance the decisions that have to be made. There are a bunch of options they are looking into, all subject to playtesting, which is why, like I said, they're focusing on playtesting. Combat. They talked about a cool thing with combat of potentially hiding the number of apples you bid, which I thought would be great based on playing the game. I would have loved that in the game. I think it would have really added a lot of tension to the battles, and that wasn't even something that I complained about. So again, subject to playtesting, but that one I'll say, even if they don't add it, you can always do that yourself and just playtest it and see if it's a good fit for your group. Card disparity, clans abilities. Okay, I'm trying to look what they have here. Last cards. Yeah, they had talked about fame balancing. There's a bunch of these. I'm not trying to go overly into detail, but they are focusing very heavily on that, adding to the deck building. And I will note, other people have commented that they did feel tension with picking cards. So overall, great game, great looking game. The price and the value have definitely increased with what they are added here. In terms of the value proposition, combined with the potential exclusivity, I think it is a good back. I think that $84 plus shipping pledge is a good back in terms of just the sheer volume of content they've added since I initially covered it. I mean, I covered it back when they had like 2,000 backers. They're at 6,400. There's a big gap. It's a big change in what they have there. So if you're looking for that seal of approval or whatnot, it is definitely one that I think is a lot closer. It is very much bridged that gap on being a safer game to back just by how much content they've added. In terms of what they're changing in the playtesting, I will say that, like I said, this game was a game that I already liked the core focus, and depending on that final product, it's one that I may end up trying out again and seeing how it plays out for my collection. I'm still not backing it for right now because I'm a little too hesitant to back the game based on the maybe of how it'll play out, but it might be, I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. I'm very curious what the value will end up being, how much it will cost me to get it on the secondary market, and all that. But that is basically 10 minutes of Northgard. That is your Northgard update. More stuff, lots of playtesting on an already pretty solid core. So if you are interested in this, if you are on the fence, I think it's a safe thing to go in on. That is basically it. I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. This has been a fairly long video because we had, well, everything happened in this video. Absolutely everything happened. Whew. I'm tired. I've been talking. I need some water. I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you haven't already, by all means subscribe down below. You know I sing. Apparently I do magic tricks too. We're not even getting started. You can watch my live stream to know what I'm talking about there. And until next time, have a good one.